you're a mother, a two-time cancer survivor, some would say a progressive icon, the Notorious RBG. Next month you're going to turn 84, and in August you'll be making your 24th year on the court. So I think I'm just going to start off with a question everyone wants to know the answer to. How are you?
I'm very well, and my personal trainer keeps me in shape. We meet twice a week in this small gym for the justices and principal court officer. I've been working with him since 1999, and now he is also training Justice Kagan and Justice Breyer.
So tell us about your routine. I mean, what do you do to keep well?
Well, first, the time of day, not time for most people, but I train between 7 and 8. That enables me to watch the news hour while I'm on the elliptical glider. So it's a full hour. We start on the elliptical glider, and then we do stretching, and then we do various weightlifting, and then various machines, push-ups, something called the plank. It's a good routine. It keeps me in shape.
So you were nominated back in 1993 by Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Your predecessor, Byron White, was nominated by John F. Kennedy.
Yes.
So do you feel a certain responsibility to wait for a Democratic president, since you and your predecessor were nominated by Democratic presidents? Do you feel a certain responsibility to wait for a Democratic president?
Well, I feel a responsibility to do the job as long as I am fully able to do it. At my age, you have to take it year by year. So I know this year I'm okay. What next year will bring, I can't predict. I can be hopeful. And my reason to hope is that Justice John Paul Stevens, my dear colleague, stepped down at age 90. So I have a way to go.
Are you looking forward to anything? Maybe your upcoming birthday, or perhaps celebrating your 24th year?
Am I looking forward to anything? Yes, many things. On February 24th, my portrait will be presented to the court, and family and friends, judicial colleagues will all attend that ceremony. Then the next day, the 25th, I am looking forward to the opening of Dead Man Walking at the Washington National Opera. And then pretty soon after that, I will perform a marriage ceremony for my granddaughter. That will be a special pleasure. And then the Shakespeare Theater has an annual moot court. This year it will be based on Macbeth. The Library of Congress is doing a reenactment of something that was done in Venice last summer. It was Shylock's appeal from the judgment against him in The Merchant of Venice. I am in charge of the court's twice-a-year musicale, and in May our artist will be the world-renowned violinist Itzhak Perlman. Many things to look forward to.
Justice Ginsberg, currently in the state of Hawaii there is a legal and legislative debate over the issue of medical aid in dying, which is currently allowed by 6 other states in the Union. Justice Ginsberg, what is your opinion on this matter?
I think it's good that we have a union that's made up of states that can be what Brandeis called laboratories for experiments. So now that there are a number of states that have physician-assisted suicide, the states that don't yet have it can observe, see how it's working out, and then adopt it or not based on the experience of the states that have it. We did have before the Supreme Court a question of the so-called right to die, and the court decided this is something that each individual state should decide for itself.
The last time the issue of medical aid in dying came to the Supreme Court was in 1997, correct? You signed a concurrence to the majority opinion at that time. Do you still stand by what the majority opinion said?
The majority opinion, I remember, was written by Chief Justice Rehnquist. Yeah. And I think it didn't reject the so-called right to die, but it said for the here and now, this is a matter that each state should decide for itself. So that's where it is now, and as I said, people in states that do not recognize such a right and observe what is occurring in the states that do, and see if the fears that it will be abused, and that's the major concern. And can you be sure that the person really wants to die, or could it be that the family would like to get that person out of the way so they don't have to bear the expenses for him or her? On the other hand, the people who want to die with dignity and not in great pain, this is something many people hope that they would have that opportunity for themselves. Right now, the law is in a state of flux. As I said, there are some states that recognize physician-assisted suicide, and we'll see what develops.
As someone who's looked up to you for years, you've already left a tremendous impact on the United States. What kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Oh, just that I was a judge who tried her very best, worked as hard as she could to fulfill the responsibilities of a judge in the U.S. federal system. I think our judiciary, for its independence, is a model for the world, and I hope that independence will continue to be respected.
So on Monday at Stanford, you mentioned abolishing the Electoral College as maybe a possibility or an option going forward. Could you maybe elaborate more on why?
Well, I also said that it would take a constitutional amendment to do it, which is powerfully hard to accomplish. Our Constitution is not easy to amend. I think I mentioned in Stanford my own experience as an advocate of the Equal Rights Amendment, which fell 3 votes short of passing. So it does seem odd that in a democracy, the person who wins the popular vote doesn't win the office. I think the Electoral College was designed for the time in which it was created, and I think there's good reason to re-examine whether it's still appropriate for our own time.
As someone who started the Women's Rights Project at the ACLU, I just wanted to know, what was your opinion about the Women's March in Washington? How do you feel about the organizations that are happening right now?
I've never seen a march that was more inspirational. There was great rapport among everybody who was participating. It was entirely orderly. There was no problem for the police at all, and no problem with anybody turning violent. It was just an uplifting demonstration. It was saying that we are the people of the United States and we would like to be heard by our government. We would like our government to make laws and policies for the benefit of all the people of the United States.
Justice Ginsberg, at the University of Havana, there are many aspiring lawyers and legal scholars. Do you have any advice for them as they look forward to their careers?
The question that you ask, what advice would I give to young lawyers, I've been asked a few times since I've been here in Hawaii. My answer is the same. Whatever you do, whatever your professional job, whatever job you're paid to do, always do, in addition, something outside yourself, something that will repair tears in your community, something that will make life a little better for people less fortunate than you are. Lawyers have a skill, and the skill enables them to do just that, to respond to the needs of people who could not afford to engage counsel. I said many times that I have gotten more satisfaction out of work I was not paid to do than what was my regular job. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for a young person who wants to earn a living, of course, but also wants to do something to make life a little better for people who are less fortunate.
As journalists, we have a commitment to tell the truth, to report the facts. But in the age of social media, anyone can write anything, express any opinion. What do you think about this new trend of so-called fake news?
Alternate facts?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, a great jurist said the way to fight false facts is by true facts. So when a false fact is stated, the people who care will say, no, that's not so. That is not the fact. Indeed, the fact is whatever it really is. So I think the best check is people who will call out those who are disseminating falsehoods and criticize them for what they are.
Are you hopeful then for the future of our country in terms of uniting the people, talking about as Christina said, the Women's March, movements like that? Are you hopeful that moving forward the country is going to unite and stand for truth and justice and facts?
I think, am I hopeful? Yes, I am an optimist. That doesn't mean that I think immediately we will see everything working just as it should. There was a great man, Martin Luther King, who said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. So if you think about racial equality, look where we started. In a number of states of the United States, public schools were totally segregated by race. My growing up years in the South, lynchings were not uncommon. There was no anti-discrimination law that stopped people from discriminating on the basis of race or gender. We're much better off now.
After the court settled same-sex marriage in the case in 2015, There's been a movement, I think, a nationwide movement, to get sexuality included in anti-discrimination laws across the country. So obviously they're being passed state by state. I mean, what do you think about that movement, getting sexuality included in anti-discrimination laws in states?
I think no one should be discriminated against for some quality that he or she was born with. We all should be judged by what we can accomplish, what we can achieve, and not who we are. So there too, I think there's much room for optimism, considering that it wasn't so long ago that consensual sodomy, same-sex relations between consulting adults, was a crime. And with respect to same-sex marriage, I sometimes point out that that was an impossible idea until after the Supreme Court decided a case called Ginsberg v. Feenstra in, it was either 1981 or 1982. The issue was the validity of Louisiana's so-called head and master rule. That is, marriage was supposedly a marriage between equals, but the husband was head and master of the community. And in the common law heritage, it was said husband and wife are one, but husband is the one. Marriage itself had to become a union between two people of equal stature, equal citizenship stature, people equal before the law. Because before that, when you could have a head and master rule, or the common law disabilities that women once suffered, you couldn't think of a gay union. Which one would be the dominant partner, which one would be the subordinate partner. So it took two decisions, one Loving against Virginia, that outlawed miscegenation laws. That was in 1967. And then in 1981 or 82, in Ginsberg against Feenstra, the court said no more head and master rule. Married people are equal partners in the union.